Welcome to the latest Wax Ecstatic Pack Break. I am your host, Matt Sammon, and by popular demand, no, seriously, by popular demand, through a listener poll that we had recently, we are looking at 87 Donruss. And don't let these ugly, yellowish gold, I haven't hydrated properly color urine packs here dissuade you. There are some beauties inside these packs. And 87 Donruss, as I mentioned, was the winning result in a recent poll we did. We asked of the following four sets that we've talked about before, but have kind of just moved on from over the years. Which one do you want to revisit? And 85 Topps was just edged by 87 Donruss. So even though when you talk about baseball cards in 1987, even though Topps is normally the first set that you think of, do not overlook Donruss. Now, another thing about these, I recently purchased these packs. You'll notice, and in fact, you kind of see them on all three here. You know, the wax is kind of all weird, and that's okay. You know, this is not a repackaged wax pack. I have opened, I couldn't tell you how many wax packs and boxes of Donruss since 87 through 91 when they were still wrapping them in wax. And Donruss just had a very strange way of wrapping these. So you may find an entire box of cards where the wrappers are a little askew like this. That is okay. Now let's open up these packs here. See what we've got inside. Of course, we'll talk in depth about the great 87 Donruss set in our next podcast, which will be coming up this Friday. That, of course, would be May the 7th. As you can see here by this smiling young man, the Roberto Clemente puzzle piece, if that's your thing. Now, it just would not be an episode of Wax Ecstatic if Zane Smith wasn't involved. So we've got Zane Smith. Let's take a look just at the Zane Smith card to look at some of the finer qualities of 87 Donruss. Great design here. The black border, the little baseballs kind of in the middle here. A lot of headshots in 87 Donruss. You do have some action shots, as you'll see, but a very simple design. You've got the Donruss logo. Of course, back then they would put the year underneath the logo, player name, position at the bottom, and a full-color team logo in the corner. Of course, the legendary, and you wouldn't be able to get away with it as much these days, Chief Nakahoma logo of the Atlanta Braves. On the back, we've got this kind of goldenrod color and your typical Donruss baseball card at that time. And in fact, this was a design that they've been using basically the same since 1985, essentially the same since 1982, where you got card number up here, player name, personal information, the recent Major League performance. So again, if you had a Hall of Famer, you didn't have the whole career list, just the previous 5 years, and some career highlights. So that was about it. A lot of similarities between 85 Donruss and 87 Donruss, which again we'll talk about in the program. We go Hojo, Howard Johnson of the then defending champion New York Mets. We've got Terry Mulholland, Dwayne Murphy. Boy, he's looking pretty chipper there, getting that base hit. Mike Smithson of the Minnesota Twins. Jack the Ripper, Jack Clark, one of his last seasons with the Cardinals. Our rated rookie, Dwayne Ward, one of the underrated members of the Toronto Blue Jays, who was part of a trade with the Atlanta Braves. We might feature him on the program this week. Jimmy Jones of the San Diego Padres. Lem Matuzik of the Dodgers. We've got Mr. Vertigo, Nick Esaski of the Cincinnati Reds. Big old Cliffy Johnson there of the Toronto Blue Jays, showing off the 10th anniversary patch there on his shoulder. Speaking of legendary uniforms, the old pillbox cap. This would be the end of the pillbox cap look, the Pirates going with a more modern look in 1987. Not only the end of the pillbox cap, but also what I call the wanted poster logo. I've always loved that Pirates logo. Benny DiStefano, by the way. We have Greg Pryor, spectacular 80s porn stash there. Jimmy Key, early career card for him, one of the rising stars of the Jays at that time. And then, boy, the tragic story of Donnie Moore. Smiling here, but as we all know, never living down the infamy of giving up that series losing home run to Dave Henderson in the 86 ALCS. All right, pack number 2. More puzzle pieces. And we've got, we've had this guy, Leon Bip Roberts. I love the inclusion, not only with his birth name, but the nickname as well. Rob Nelson of the Oakland A's. Not quite the more famous first baseman for the A's at the time. Chuck Carey of the Detroit Tigers. Jesse Orosco of the Mets. Scott Fletcher, pretty good action shot for the time there. Nice up close, about to take that swing there with the Texas Rangers. Ed Olwine. I was talking about the Chief Nakahoma logo, and I mentioned this on Twitter recently. The Braves road uniforms from 81 through 86, incredibly underrated. Love them. Al Newman, damn glad to be there with the Montreal Expos. We've got Keith Moreland with the Chicago Cubs. Good old Stewie Dave Stewart with the Oakland Athletics. And I can tell you that was taken in Toronto. That's Exhibition Stadium there in the background. Another great uniform from the mid-'80s, Bill Swift with the Seattle Mariners. Kirk McCaskill, hockey player turned baseball player. Big Diamond King hit there for 1987, Roger Clemens, card number 2 of the season. Followed up with another star at the time, Mr. Von Hayes. Drew Hall, boy, talk about spectacular mustaches. This is shady used car salesman stash. I like it. And Big Joey Meyer of the Milwaukee Brewers. All right, let's open up pack number 3. Last but not least, pack number 3 here. See if we get any big hits in terms of rookies. Not that Dwayne Ward wasn't a big hit. Not that Andre David is not a big hit. Love that old Twins cap. That's about all I got for him. Got Rich Dotson of the Chicago White Sox. Larry Sheets the bed with the Orioles. Tony Pena before the shocking trade to the Cardinals. Brian Oehlers of the Cleveland Indians. Oh boy, talk about smiling after rough postseasons. Billy Buckner there at the Boston Red Sox. Scott Bradley of the Mariners. Plus, look at that photo bomb. Autograph seeker getting into the action. Jack Howell of the California Angels. Steve Sachs, another Diamond King here. We've got Will Frazier of your California Angels, another rated rookie. We also have John Tudor of the St. Louis Cardinals. Danny Heap of the Mets. Manuel Lee of the Blue Jays. Greg Harris of the Texas Rangers. And there's your Hall of Famer there, Mr. Carlton Fisk. Looking like he's about to throw something at the photographer. Now, did you have fun with these? Well, this is kind of like when you watch The Price is Right and they're playing the hole-in-one game. You know, Bob Barker used to do this. It's not hole-in-one, it's hole-in-two. Okay, so pack 4. I was holding this one off to the side here. Let's just open up pack 4 as well. All right, we've got Ron Davis of the Chicago Cubs. Another Hall of Famer there. Look at that rhino. Terrible lighting on the picture, but Ryan Sandberg. Jeff Robinson of the Giants. Dave King Kong Kingman of the A's. You got very happy Mike Brown of the Pittsburgh Pirates. Dave Sachs of the Boston Red Sox. And just that look on his face, he's just like, hey, hi there. I'm Dave Sachs. Boston Red Sox, you may have heard of me. Ed Lynch of the Chicago Cubs. Wouldn't be a Wax Ecstatic without Ed Lynch. Andy McGaffigan of the Montreal Expos. Pretty good action shot there, too, again, for the time. Up close on that delivery. The late Bo Diaz of the Cincinnati Reds. Bob Knepper. It's a great name for the 80s. Darrell Porter slouching a little bit there late in his career with the Texas Rangers. Mike Flanagan, the crafty lefty with the Baltimore Orioles. You got Vance Law of the Montreal Expos. Keith Hernandez. And once again, Drew Hall. I just hit the lottery there with ugly used car salesman mustaches. Drew Hall for the win. Now, before we just close up thoughts here, like I said, I'll get into details about these cards in our next podcast. But what is the main problem with 87 Donruss? Well, we already talked about the great design, and you've got some pretty solid rookies. You've got some good Hall of Famers in here as well, some up-and-coming stars, but conditions. Let me get this Ron Davis card, for example. Let me see if I can get the light right on it. Hang on here. All right, you see that? A little bit of a fold on the corner. 87 Donruss, much like 85 Donruss, as well as 71 Tops, I should say. A little bit of an issue with condition. And because of the black borders, let me get this in frame a little more. Because of the black borders, errors and problems, I shouldn't say errors, but problems with conditioning tended to pop up quite a bit. So my two biggest hits, Ryan Sandberg and Carlton Fisk, in pretty good condition here. A couple of the other cards, though, you do have little scratches and dings on the corner. So that's the one big drawback. Like I said, like other black border cards, 85 Donruss, 71 Tops, parts of the 91 score set, the black borders tended to be a nuisance and not an asset for the cards. But with that said, you have quite the beautiful looking set. As I mentioned before, some big name rookie cards, some top Hall of Famers. And this is one of 3 A-plus sets from 1987. Tops, of course, always takes the mantle, but Donruss and yes, even Fleer had some pretty good products in 87. We'll talk more about those in our next podcast. Again, it is this Friday, May the 7th. We'll drop it at noon Eastern on our main platform, which is Audio Boom, and all across the podcasting platforms that you listen to. So make sure you tune in as we talk 87 Donruss. I'm your host, Matt Sammon. Thanks for watching this Wax Ecstatic Pack Break.